What's up, and welcome back to Wine List Legends. My name is Harry Crowther, founder at Grain to Grape, and I am here today with Mr. Stuart Hudson from Bar Liber in St. Paul's in Islington. So, how's it going, Stuart?
Always well, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited because I feel like we're going to cover some pretty interesting stuff or bits with you over the next sort of 10-15 minutes. But before we get to that, do you mind just doing a quick intro of yourself, of Bar Liber, and the relationship you've got with St. Paul's, so on and so forth?
Okay, cool. Bar Liber has been a concept that's been evolving and coming to fruition for about 2 decades in my head. It's always been, whenever I thought about opening my own bar, this is kind of how I'd pictured it. So based on kind of more of a just classic Australian wine bar, just nice, light, airy, inviting, something for everyone. So like we're open from 9 in the morning till 11 at night. So come down for brunch, glass of prosecco, something like that, or cocktails at night. So everything based around the world of wine. I wanted to kind of demystify wine a little bit and make wine fun again. It seems to have got way too serious of late, and it's not something that I think is enjoyable. I've always worked in and around wine as part of my career, but it's I want this to be fun. It's what a bar should be.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. And well, that's essentially what I'm trying to do. Like, no red trousers, no tweed, nothing like that. Enjoy some wine. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, listen, can you tell me a little bit about your by the glass selection and how you go about it? Because I know it's quite extensive. I also know you've got a very cool bit of kit which allows you to offer such a big selection. So can you just tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so again, this goes back to kind of when I was working in bars and wine bars back in Australia before we moved over here. And we just bought large canisters of nitrogen or argon, and just got an air gun, a compressed air gun, and we just, every time we pour, we just put it in that. And it's the exact same method that Coravin and all of these other systems have used. So we've got that, and then we've got CO2, which we use a one-way valve system that we use and inject CO2 in to keep the bubbles in liquid. But it's the exact same systems they're using. We just do it on a bigger scale. We purchase the gas on a bigger scale, which makes it so much cheaper to do. Like one of those Coravin pellets are like £5 for a venue, and that you get 10 serves out of that. Like I spend £100 and I get 10,000 serves. So it's like, I don't get how this is in every venue. It's not a hard thing to track down. It's from the same company that does all of the beer gas that everyone in the UK buys from. So I didn't have to go hunting for it. I just called up and went, "Hey, you got this?" It's being a noble gas. It is 99.6% pure. Yeah, so it's beyond food grade safe. It's more than it.
How many wines are you able to do, or do you do by the glass because of that? This sort of like industrial scale Coravin system.
Yeah, basically, I do everything by the glass. That's why I wanted to do this. And I've played with it at a few places that I worked or consulted on in London. But this one, I was like, I really wanted to kind of push the boat out. And again, that's not a massive selection when you think about it. Like, what is it? A 67 Pall Mall, the wine club there, they've got like 800 by the glass, and they use exclusively Coravin. We've got 80 by the glass. We've got 80 wines, and then 80 sparkling, white, rosé, amber, and red, and then we've got 10 desserts, and then we've got our fortified selection, which is another 25, and then all of that. This week we're launching our vermouth hour list, so we've got like 25 vermouths, which we'll do all by the glass.
Love that.
So again, all of it just gets used, and just every time we serve the wine or any liquid, basically, short of it being a spirit, it just gets a charge from the argon or the CO2 if it's sparkling. And then at the end of the night, we go through and fill them all again.
You go through and drink them all.
Well, so we then stamp them, like every time at the end of the night. If a bottle doesn't have a stamp, that means it's been opened that day. So we just the date that's been opened, and then we've got a timeline of, okay, cool, it's coming to the end of its life. Obviously we taste it to ensure it's fresh or acceptable to serve, and then we'll start pushing it as kind of I usually incentivize the staff with some prizes or something like that. Yeah. For them to go on, who can sell the most of this tonight gets a prize. Kind of thing.
Then you're constantly pushing different things all the time, aren't you? Based on what's basically coming to the end of its shelf life, which is surely that's important for for your guests, getting them in, pushing different things all the time. It's not just like you're not cycling through the same mundane offering.
No, exactly, and that's why we wanted to. We're having a large glass selection as well. And I say this when I do trainings with the team. It's like, I don't expect you to like all of these wines. I have wines on this list that I don't particularly like, but I don't do the list for myself. I do it for the broadest possible audience base. And so when we train, as long as you can explain why you like something or why you don't like something, a customer will react positively to that. So you can say, I don't like this wine because of X, Y, Z, but I fucking love this wine because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, D, H. So that's why we really want to kind of push this list out of it and just go, let's have fun with it. Like, know what you like, and that way you can sell that, as opposed to as having just that 5 by the glass, and they're generally the same stock standard wines from around the world. I'm not saying they're bad wines, but it's going to be either a Pinot Grigio or a Picpoul, a New Zealand Sauv Blanc, a Sancerre, or something like that, and then
100%. So, I mean, I was lucky enough. I swung by on last week.
I know. I'm sorry, I missed you, bro.
Cocktail. That's all right, mate. It was super last minute. Absolutely loved it. But actually, touching on what you've just said, one of your team members came to me, and a friend of mine that I was with, I think he got this Trebbiano Amphora, and he loved it. But actually, your bartender said, actually, you know what, this wine isn't for me, which I was very surprised because he's Italian. But going back to what you said, I mean, as an operator and as someone that does a lot of wine trainings with a lot of people, I love that, and I appreciate that, because guests, whether they know it or not, subconsciously are looking for a recommendation, but they're also looking for an opinion from someone. And actually,
exactly, honesty. Just if you're honest with people, they respond really well to that.
100%, mate. No, 100%. No, I love that approach, and just empowering the team. If you've got, I say to people, you've got a gob, use it. You've got an opinion, there you go, and that's what people want. I love that.
I think.
Okay, listen. So I was watching. I was just sort of crawling across YouTube the other day, and I came across a good friend of mine, Joe Wadsack's video, and he mentioned something a little bit weird, which is can you tell me a little bit more about this punch that you guys have done? How's it been received? And what the hell you were thinking when you did it?
Well, it's not my recipe. This is what we wanted to really celebrate. As I said, Barley Burrs, it's about celebrating wine in its entirety, and that's a big part of that for us is mixing with wine. So all the cocktails are wine-based, generally 1 to 2, generally 2 wine-based ingredients as the base, be that the wine of vermouth, sherry, brandy, pisco, something like that. And to really highlight this for our opening menu, we wanted to actually look back at 2 of the kind of fathers of modern bartending, Joe Thomas and Harry Johnson. So we rated their books for about 85% of our menu, just to kind of really shout about it and go, hey, this isn't something new. These guys, the fathers of our industry, were doing this and doing it well.
Yeah.
So there was one drink that when I started working in, I left as a beverage manager on a top restaurant down in Knightsbridge, and I went to work in a cocktail in Soho. I was given a book, Harry Johnson's bartender manual, and I was flicking through it, and there was the recipe for the Empire Punch, and he had quite a lot of wine cocktails in that. But there was he only once brand called for a red wine, and the recipe called for 4 bottles of Chateau Lafite. So this book was published in 1882. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I have to make this. So I have been waiting 15 years to make this drink. And again, this, like the wine preservation for back in Australia, like what I learned in Australia, that had been one of the pillars. It was like, let's celebrate this. There is a massive history to this. Like, it's huge. It goes back like 6,000 years. Short of the two earliest clay pots or amphoras that they found in Georgia, then everything else for the next 6,000 years was either had flavor ingredients like herbs, or had been mixed with mead or beers or things like that. Wine has been mixed exclusively for 6,500 years. So, and these guys will really refine it. So obviously we thought, if we're going to do a wine bar and we're going to celebrate wine cocktails, we need to really get to know and own this drink. So yeah, we went, okay, let's recreate this Empire Punch. And so we did. And then I was like, well, if we're going to use Shadow of the Thief, we have to push everything else to that level. Because he did call for like it called for Tok Orange, like all those things, but he never properly brand called go to this level. So we went, let's go to that level. So yeah, that's what we did. And yeah, we for those of you who, that's the drink there.
All right, so I'll just read that out. We've got Appleton Vintage Jamaican Rum. We've got Hennessy Paradise Cognac, Dom P 2010. We've got a 6 Petonius Azu Tokai from Hungary, of course. We've got a 1980s Blandis Cercial Chateau Lafite 2008. Finished with pineapple, orange, and strawberries. Wow.
Yeah. So again, it's a banging drink. Like, everyone's like, how do you know this is gonna, like, what happens if it's shit? And I was like, well, I'd made some like base ass ghetto versions, like with like Tesco £5 red wines, and like and like even at that level, I was like, it's a really good drink. Like, and I was like, it's generally the rule is the better your ingredients, the better the finished product. You know, say. So I was pretty confident at that stage. So when we batched it on the opening press night, we did, and served it for the press, and then for the trade night the next night, which was our true opening night, was the 5th of June. And then so it is the house cocktail here at Marley Burke.
I mean, I'm guessing it's not flying off the shelf.
No.
Or so how are you? How are you, preserving it? Are you just doing what we spoke about earlier with the Coravin?
Yeah, so
hitting it. Yeah,
so we just pump argon onto it. What we're doing for the next batch is how we'll move this forward, because we basically, after those 2 launches, we did we gave most of them away, and so we only had 10 portions left. So we kept that under the argon, and then we're charging the Dom a la minute. But for the next one, we're going to batch everything together and then put even the Dom in everything like that. And then we will bottle as individual serves under carbonation, under pressure.
Okay.
So, so there'll be 150 ml bottle, or 200 ml bottle with like 160 ml of liquid in it. Yeah. We then just open, it will be at the perfect carbonation level. It will have been filtered, everything like that. And then, just poured over ice, garnished, and served to the customer.
Love that.
So,
yeah, that's insane. Honestly, hats off. I applaud you for just not even like I think demystifying it, sort of not really doing you justice. You're literally like tearing down the fucking walls, aren't you? Of like what people should expect from fine wine, and what the sort of fun that you can have with it. So I love that. I really do. I'm about that.
And that's it. Like everyone, like, obviously, I was never trying to hunt down and get free bottles of Lafite and stuff like that. I do want them to. I want to be in touch with them over social about this drink. I love them to, because sooner or later, if we just keep tagging, they're going to have to bite back. Because it's a historical thing, and they've always praised the history of their chateau and that. So this, as I said, this is one of the greatest bartenders in history, was calling for their brand in his book.
Yeah.
But everyone else, all the other houses, all were like, "No, we're in. This is amazing. We love it."
So you've been in touch with Moet, and they're up for it.
They threw some Dom at us, and everyone. Blandies were like, "We are loving. We're trying to celebrate a Madeira and cocktails. This is exactly what we want. Thank you." So everyone came to the party and was really, really responsive to it, which is great.
Fantastic.
And I think, a lot of wine houses and stuff now are starting to see that side of it, because again, it's a beautiful and the original kind of low ABV category of mixed drinks. It's so much flavor in there. So we love using like dessert wines as replacements for sugars for a lot of classic cocktails, like a daiquiri with Sauterne instead of sugar syrup. It's amazing. Like,
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I love I had a sherry cobbler on Friday, which was awesome. Really, really lovely drink. All right, listen, we're going to round it up because I know you're a busy boy, but it might be a difficult question. Favorite wine or two currently on your list that you'd like people to come in and give a taste of?
Well, there's one that's amazing, the Pax Eterna, which is these guys down in Barossa. They do things a little bit differently, but they've got basically they take a Grenache and they produce it in the same way that you produce Beaujolais, by doing carbonic maceration and stuff like that. It creates this beautiful, lovely fruity thing. As soon as we taste it, pretty much all the staff were like, "That's amazing," and we're like, "And then let's try it chilled," because we were deliberately looking for a couple of nice summer reds that we could have a couple of bottles in the fridge for when it's super hot outside, although it's pretty shit at the moment. And then we were like, we had a frosé on, because fuck around with wine, and we're like, let's try it with this, and we like made it, and instantly went, "Frosé's dead, long live Fred."
Wow.
So yeah, we've literally got 3 different incarnations on the menu, so that's pretty cool. Being originally from the Hunter Valley, I love Hunter Valley Semillon, especially when it's got some bottle age. So I've got a couple on there, which is really cool. And then rosé. All of my rosés I just love. Rosé is such a just underappreciated category, and that's why I deliberately chose to have like 10 all by the glass, because it's such a massive world out there of rosé wines, and they're all so different, so beautiful, and slides.
How are you tackling the rosé thing? Because let's face it, I'm a bit bored with the barely pink Provençal style, and I agree with you what you're saying. Like, there are so many other, so much other diversity within the category. I was in Red Lion and Sun the other day, up in Highgate, and Heath Ball put on, I mean, he called it a light red, I called it a dark rosé, but it was Prophet's Rock, and they've got this beautiful, really dark Pinot Noir. I mean, I would call it, like I said, call it a rosé. But are you championing like a quite diverse range of styles?
Yeah, and regions and countries. Like, I've got a beautiful one in that's finally landed, La Spinetta. I'm really famed for their Barbarescos and stuff. They do a rosé from Tuscany. It's probably 2.5 times darker than your usual Provence style, but beautiful with food. Like, that's it. And it's like wine. It's like the world of wine in general. There is a style and taste for every occasion, and it's just honing in on that. It needs to be light to be quality. I mean, come on. You have to applaud the Provence producers for basically nailing down a category, almost like Champagne did for sparkling wine. They're like, it has to be like this to be quality, and that's it. As a rule, they generally are pretty top end quality wines across the board. So I think they've done very well. You get a lot of shit rosé out there. You don't necessarily get as much shit Provence rosé, which I think that is also. But one of my favorite wines in the world is a rosé wine from Spain by a producer called Lopez de Heredia. They released that at 10 years old.
Is this the Tondonia?
Yeah, Tondonia rosé is phenomenal. If you ever lucky enough, any of you is lucky enough to see it on a list or something like that, just grab it, because it's so rare now, but it is so amazing. And it's like, you can match that with steak. Yeah, like, that's insane. Like, that's what I love about the rosé category. So
absolutely. I totally agree. Well, listen, for everyone watching, whether it's rosé or wine-focused cocktails, or the most weirdest, wackiest punch you've ever find, or whether it's just one of the 80 glasses of wine that's available by the glass, please get yourselves down to Bar Liber. And Stuart, thank you so much for your time, bro. I can't wait to come back. When I've got a bit more money, I promise you I will. I will give the punch a go.
Well, we'll be doing another batch next week. So we're gonna put 2 different vintages in of the Lafite. We're gonna go like super old. Get those tertiary flavors, add a bit more complexity to the drink, and then go super young one. So we've got 2014 and an 84, which are going to go into the drink.
Nice, yeah. I can see that giving another dimension, like that more truffle leatheriness with the like.
Exactly. That's all, and that's what we figured. We're like, let's start fucking around with vintages of Lafite to really add complexity to this drink.
Love that. Well, listen, man, I think it's fair to say you are a wine list legend, and I love what you're doing, man. And thank you so much for your time. And let's catch up soon, dude.
Mate, look forward to it. Take care. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.